SummerSlam 2024 genuinely has the potential to be one of the, if not the best SummerSlams of all time. That's no exaggeration. There is some amazingly built long-term stories going into this pay-per-view premium live event. Potential of 2, 3, maybe even 4 major title changes. Potential swerves, potential big returns that we'll get into a bit later. But the pay-per-view does have one major problem, and that is the main event. Now, when I say main event, I don't mean WWE's sorry excuse for main events when they say they have 3 main events in one night. I mean the main event, the match that closes the show, goes on last, one that sends the fans away. Now, in this pay-per-view, there's genuinely, of the 7 matches so far announced, 4 of the 7 could legitimately take that main event spot and not feel out of place or feel like they're unworthy of the spot. However, it's highly expected that Cody Rhodes versus Solo Sikoa for the undisputed WWE Championship will take the main event spot. Bloodline are literally on the poster of the pay-per-view, so it's very expected that'll be the main event. But should it? In this video, I'm going to talk about the 4 matches that could main event the pay-per-view and why I think a certain particular one should main event, and disclosure, it's not Cody Rhodes versus Solo Sikoa. So let's start with what we do expect to be the main event. As I've already mentioned, Cody Rhodes versus Solo Sikoa for the undisputed WWE Championship. Now, you could straight away make the argument that the undisputed championship should always be the main event. It's arguably, probably not arguably, it's definitely the biggest prize in all of professional wrestling. It's the top championship that anyone who goes into professional wrestling one day aspires to hold. So you could make the argument that it should main event, but I don't think that's always the case. I think it should always have its place on the card, of course, but I don't think it should hold hostage over the main event of every single pay-per-view when there's better matches or better stories going on. Obviously, involved in this match, there's loads of factors: the bloodline, Cody Rhodes, Randy Orton and Kevin Owens, another potential return that we'll get into, but then you've also got Jimmy Uso potentially, Paul Heyman, Jey Uso. There's so many factors going on here. So the potential swerves that we could see here, Randy Orton potentially turning on Cody Rhodes, I think is quite a likely one. Kevin Owens potentially doing the same, maybe Randy and Kevin together turning on Cody because, you know, they've basically been taken out trying to defend him and he's not been able to defend them. So maybe that could be something we see. But the one reason I think this match should main event, and this is the only reason, because I do think all of the other 3 matches here have more of a worthy place in the main event. If, and it's a big if, Roman Reigns returns, obviously that's the main event, because then the final shot of the show is probably Roman Reigns standing tall over Solo Sikoa, probably. And then that will lead us down the line probably to Survivor Series, maybe a War Games match of Roman Reigns versus Solo's new bloodline. So if Roman Reigns returns, yes, this should main event, because that is a moment worthy of the main event spot and it will make the entire match worth it. However, should this be the main event? In my opinion, no. Let me know if you think it should. Don't get me wrong, I'm enjoying the story. I really like this new iteration of the bloodline. However, I think the next 3 matches we're going to talk about are probably all more worthy of the main event. So the next match we're going to talk about, and probably the least worthy of the main event spot outside of the Undisputed Championship, I'd actually probably say this one's less worthy of it because of the story involved, but the World Heavyweight Championship, Damian Priest versus Gunther. Now, reasons in favour of this main eventing, there is a high likelihood that we see a title change. Gunther has obviously, I think in a lot of people's eyes, it's a formality that Gunther is going to win the World Heavyweight Championship. I don't think it's that straightforward. I'm really enjoying Damian Priest's work. I think he's very quickly, naturally turning into a really good organic babyface, and it's really working in his favour. However, there are also some potential swerves that make this match interesting. Finn Balor has had a frosty relationship, shall we say, with Damian Priest of the last month, 2 months or so. So I'd say that's the most likely swerve that we get here. Maybe Finn costs Priest the championship, handing it to Gunther, and then we set up Balor versus Priest down the line. But the main reason why this probably shouldn't main event is that it was a story given to us and not built, in the sense that Gunther obviously won the King of the Ring tournament, and the reward for winning that tournament was he got this title match at SummerSlam. So, you know, it's not a naturally built storyline. That being said, the story has been built well by the two of them. They had a big pull apart brawl on the Monday Night Raw just gone at the time of recording this. So, you know, there's a lot of good factors involved, but I don't think this is going to be the main event. Now, let's talk about the two strongest contenders, in my opinion. Both of these next two matches, I think, are far more worthy of the main event of SummerSlam than Cody Rhodes versus Solo Sikoa. Now, we were just speaking about Judgment Day with Damian Priest, so let's continue on that track. Rhea Ripley versus Liv Morgan for the Women's World Championship. In my opinion, this has the strongest storyline, potentially, or the next match, which I'm pretty sure you'd probably be able to guess what it is based on the SummerSlam card. But this has a really strong reason to be the main event, I think. Long-term storytelling really at its finest here. Every single character involved in this storyline has had their stock rise massively. And I think that's so important to every storyline, is that no one feels pushed aside or like they're just there for the sake of being there. Everyone, I think, has been a crucial part to the story and have been elevated really well. Liv Morgan has become a really sort of weirdly sympathetic in my eyes, but also, you know, horrible and manipulative in many ways. Dom is just, I can't express enough how much I really enjoy Dominic Mysterio's work as a heel. Rhea Ripley, obviously fresh off the return, like Priest, becoming a really organic babyface. Damian Priest as well. Carlito has finally found a spot that really suits him. Since his return, he's sort of been here or there, not really offering too much, but now he's found a good sort of comedic role, I guess you'd call it, in the Judgment Day, but it suits him really well. He plays it off really nicely. Finn Balor going down the heel route has come out of this. Everyone is coming out of this really well. And I think we will see a big swerve. If it's a swerve, I think it could actually be a bit obvious. But I think Dom's going to turn on Rhea Ripley, letting Liv Morgan retain the title. And I think that, as a moment, is worthy of main eventing SummerSlam. We've not had many women's main events of WWE pay-per-views, really. We've had a few major ones. Obviously, the biggest being the triple threat at WrestleMania, Rousey, Lynch, and Flair. So I'm sure WWE would jump at the opportunity to have another women's main event on a major Big Four pay-per-view. Also, just a little one, Liv Morgan has to retain in this match, by the way. Otherwise, the story's just dead, really. The revenge tour is over. Rhea's taken everything back. So Liv absolutely has to retain. And I think Dom should side with her, turn on Rhea Ripley. And that would really put this match as a strong contender for the main event spot. And last but by no means least at all, CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre with Seth Rollins as the special guest referee. Obviously, there's no title on the line here, but the fact that I think this is probably worthy of the main event shows how good of a story these guys have built, considering they haven't had any matches yet together. Is it a testament to how good character workers all three of these guys are, how well they've intertwined Seth Rollins into the story. And, let's not forget, this is going to be CM Punk's first one-on-one match on WWE programming, not including house shows, since January 2014, when he beat Billy Gunn in a one-on-one match on Monday Night Raw. So Drew McIntyre is, in my opinion, the best heel in professional wrestling right now, at least that I'm familiar with. Maybe there's some, working out in Japan or on one of the indies that I'm not too familiar with, so I'm sorry if there is, but Drew's found this perfect gimmick of basically just the ultimate troll, and he just plays social media so well, and it's a tool that hasn't always been used correctly within the WWE, but obviously social media is such a global thing now that it can be used, and Drew is the perfect example of that. Literally a few days ago, he posted a picture on his Instagram of him with Jack Perry, which is the ultimate sort of troll move towards CM Punk. If you're not familiar with Jack Perry, at AEW in London in 2020, what year are we? 2023, they had an altercation backstage, a fight basically, which is ultimately the nail in the coffin of CM Punk's AEW career, led to him being fired from the company or released from the company. So yeah, that is a brilliant move from Drew. The picture's been deleted, but apparently CM Punk did give it the green light. So these two are working together to just cook up a magical storm. Potentially the match won't be as good in terms of a technical wrestling match than some of the others, which is to be expected with how little action CM Punk's had over the last year or so. Obviously he's been injured since the Royal Rumble, so we've not actually seen him in competitive action since the Rumble. And let's not forget, CM Punk has cost Drew McIntyre the World Championship 3 times now, I think. Money in the Bank, Clash at the Castle in his hometown, home country, and at WrestleMania when Damian Priest cashed in on him. And Seth Rollins being thrown into the mix as well, just sort of is the cherry on the top of the cake of this fantastic storyline that I cannot wait to see this match. I think I'm more excited for this match than any others on the card. I think it is between this and the Liv versus Rhea match, for which should main event. I think both of them are worthy. If I was in charge of structuring the card, I think I would have this CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre, I think I would have as the main event. I think the emotions in the storyline, they've made it so clear that these two just want to rip each other to shreds. Like, they want to really hurt each other. And I think Seth Rollins involved as well just creates the perfect chaotic cocktail that is worthy of the SummerSlam main event. That being said, I am almost certain, I don't even know if it's probably been announced, but the main event will be Cody Rhodes versus Solo Sikoa for the Undisputed Championship. Hopefully Roman Reigns returns. I think it's time now. But as I say, I do think the main event will be Cody Rhodes versus Solo Sikoa. I'm not sure if it's been officially announced. According to Wikipedia, that is the main event, but I don't know if that's been properly said by WWE. But as I say, I'm sure it will be the main event, but I don't think it should be. Let me know if you think it should be. Let me know if anything I've said here has maybe persuaded you that some of these matches are more worthy of the main event. Nevertheless, I'm sure the match between Cody and Solo will be great. Obviously, they lean into the more cinematic or cinema style, not cinematic like the Firefly Funhouse match, but the emotions and cinema, as Roman Reigns would say. But nevertheless, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe for more weekly wrestling content. And yeah, thank you for watching.